The Skudo commercial system is designed to protect flooring surfaces during construction. To install the Skudo commercial system, you will need the commercial mat, the base coat liquid, and Skudo installation pack. The commercial mat comes in two grades, heavy traffic or HT and medium traffic or MT. All commercial mats use the same base coat. Installation tools included in the pack are notched squeegee, back roll roller, press-in roller. An additional 18-inch roller cover, 3/16 snap, will be required for each day of installation. The base coat is a water-based peelable coating that is applied to the substrate. The commercial mat is then rolled out over the wet base coat. Finally, the commercial mat is pressed into the base coat, essentially fusing the two components together. When the commercial mat is later peeled up, the base coat peels away with it. Prior to installation, be sure that the area has been dry for at least 24 hours and that the surface will be free from rain for 24 hours afterwards. Also, broom areas clean and scrape off any mud or debris stuck to the surface. Start by moving the Skudo commercial mat roll to a corner or edge of the area to be covered. This is usually the edge of a slab, a wall, or control joint to which you can align the commercial mat to ensure a straight rollout. Roll the commercial mat out 5 to 6 feet for a visual check and adjust accordingly. Leaving the roll in place, lift up the rolled out section and lay it over the roll itself. Pour some base coat directly onto the surface and thoroughly soak the back roll cover. Now, using the Skudo squeegee, spread the base coat edge to edge across the width of the roll. Never push the base coat towards or underneath the roll. Always pull the product away from the roll. Using the soaked back roll roller, smooth out the squeegee lines of base coat across the entire width of the commercial mat roll. The squeegee and back roll system has been designed to leave the base coat at a thickness of 10 mils wet. This produces a hiding coat where the color of the substrate cannot be seen through the base coat. All areas underneath the commercial mat is to have a consistent coating of base coat. Leaving sections without base coat coverage may result in shading variations on the protected surface. Rough or textured surfaces will require a thicker application of base coat to ensure that there is complete coverage of the peaks and valleys in the surface's profile. Lay the rolled-out section of Skudo commercial mat back onto the wet base coat and press it in immediately with moderate pressure using the press-in roller from the installation pack. It is critical that the Skudo commercial mat is uniformly pressed into the base coat. This section now becomes the anchor for the rest of the roll. Roll back the commercial mat slightly until you expose a small strip of the base coat from this first section. This is the only time you should expose covered base coat. Continue this application process of the base coat again, but now in front of the roll. Squeegee, back roll, and press in. Ensure to reapply base coat on the small strip exposed above. The worker using the Skudo squeegee should not work more than 5 feet out in front of the other two team members to ensure that the base coat stays wet and doesn't dry prior to embedding the mat. The worker handling the press-in roller should act as the quarterback of the team, keeping an eye out for sections that have either little or no base coat coverage. Every now and then, re-soak the back roller, especially when it starts to make a sucking or sticking sound. Keep the mat roll tight. Check for any gaps in the roll itself. This will reduce the chance of wrinkles in the mat and will stop it from drifting off course. Continue and repeat the process until you reach the end of the roll or area. Start the next row with the placement of the Skudo commercial mat as per the previous steps. Roll out 5 to 6 feet of the commercial mat and align against the dotted line printed down each side of the commercial mat. This will ensure that the next section will be straight and will not drift off a parallel line further down the application area. If drifting occurs, continue installation without adjusting or lifting the roll. The exposed area can be patched later. Spread the base coat 2 inches over the edge of the mat already installed, overlapping the next pass up to the dotted guideline. Additional base coat can be applied on top of the overlap. This makes the system more watertight, which is important for projects that have not been dried in or still exposed to the elements. Final tips. Avoid installation during extremely hot, windy, or freezing conditions. Use the notched squeegee provided in the Skudo installation pack. Ensure that the back roll roller is always soaked in base coat. Always smooth out the squeegee lines of base coat with the back roll roller. Failure to do so may result in shading variations in the surface. Ensure the base coat covers the entire width of the commercial mat at a thickness of 10 mils wet. Leave no gaps. Consistent thickness will ensure that the base coat will have sufficient body to fuse into the back of the commercial mat and temporarily bonds to the surface. Thin sections of the base coat will not peel up with the mat. Press the commercial mat into the wet base coat as soon as possible. Don't get too far ahead of the roll. Once pressed into the base coat, do not lift the commercial mat. Never leave a large section of the applied base coat uncovered for more than 5 minutes. Application on an exterior environment or in hot weather, the base coat will start to cure very quickly. Any exposed base coat beyond the edge of the mat should be allowed to dry and peeled up later. Trying to wipe it up while wet will only push it into the surface, negating its film-forming properties and making its removal problematic. Remember to limit the amount of traffic on the Skudo Commercial Mat for the first 24 hours. Foot traffic is okay the next day. Scissor lifts are acceptable after 24 hours. Driving lifts over recently laid mats can disperse the base coat, resulting in shading variations in the surface. Peel off the dried base coat from the notched squeegee blade before starting the installation each day.